What's up, everybody? Get myself organized here. 9:29, 1 minute early. How about that? Okay. Got my computer open. Got my notes in front of me. Just wait a minute or two for everyone to realize that we went live. And then we will kick this thing off. And I'll scroll through the comments here. Make sure nothing popped up last second and I didn't miss anything. There's some good ones, they're all good. Okay, let's be real. But there's some good ones that did not get upvoted that I kind of hope get upvoted in the future because there's topics I'd like to chat about, even though they didn't get upvoted. Let's see. One that didn't get upvoted, but I think is a fantastic question, is from Eric, who said he just read the CrossFit Journal article, What is Fitness? Which, by the way, everybody should read. Who's kidding who? And his question was, would you say that we cover all of the physical skills in the programming? In particular, I'm not sure how accuracy and flexibility are covered. Not a complaint at all, love the programming, just wondering if programming assigns less weight to some physical skills. Fantastic question, excellent question. And I've got a great answer because I remember wondering that when I first read that article many years ago and first started dabbling with programming and all that stuff. So hopefully that one comes back around and we can figure it out. Okay, let's see. What is there from other ones that just I wish got a couple more upvotes? Nasos, you almost made it. You almost made it with 10 thumbs up for the heavy day rep scheme question, but it didn't quite make the cut for today's questions. Let's see. Amy, curious about why I asked everybody on Instagram the other day about their 1 rep max deadlift, 800 meter runs, and all that other good stuff. So that didn't quite make, but that's a good question. Melanie asking about the new named girl workouts from CrossFit and when are they going to make an appearance. So that's one we can address at some other time as well. Ooh, Justin had an interesting question about, have I ever had to confront a coach or a gym owner about reckless or poor programming, or do the same thing for a coach who is doing more cheerleading than coaching? That is an interesting question. Didn't get the upvotes, but there's some interesting questions out there. Patrick, good morning to you. If the audio and video appear to be working well, give me a little thumbs up so they know that we're good to go. And then we'll go ahead and we'll kick this thing off. 9:32, so I won't make anyone wait anymore during the day. Okay, so let's see here. There was another interesting question I wanted to touch on, but again, it didn't get the upvotes. Ooh, good one from Emily about sugar addiction. A lot of people can probably relate to that one, but again, it didn't get the upvotes. There was one more. Bridget was curious about a rep scheme. The death by style workouts, that was a good question as well. Again, didn't get the upvotes. Got some sharp folks in the community. Just some sharp individuals asking good questions. But anyway, all right, it's 9:30, so let's go ahead and dive into the Ask Me Anything for today and get to the top few most upvoted questions. So let's see. All right, I'll do my little deal so that I know where to edit, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so here we go. All right. Hello and welcome to the Ask Me Anything for Thursday, February 25th, 2021. As always, thank you, Linchpin community, for the questions. They're fantastic. I picked the top few most upvoted ones. I've got my answers scratched down here on paper, and we'll just dive right in. So here we go. First question, the most upvoted one was from Levi. And you would think that I would have it pulled up as a professional would, but I have to scroll for a bit. Okay, here it is. Levi. if someone is always substituting the bike or the rower or some sort of low impact option because of joint pain when running, are there long-term negative health impacts? I guess obviously from avoiding the running. Are we missing out on something especially important that can only be achieved by running? Excellent question. So I think the phrasing of your question is critical, and we'll get to that in a second. Short answer, are you missing out on something regarding your overall strength and conditioning, your overall fitness, your overall capacity by never running and always choosing a bike or a rower? Short answer, yes. You are missing out on something, which is why on any day that particularly has a run specifically programmed in it, and of course we give a row option or a bike option in case you live in Antarctica and there's 10 feet of snow on the ground, or it's just icy, whatever it happens to be, there are reasons that you should make a different decision on one of those days if need be. But any of those other things, rowing or biking, are exactly that. They are a substitution or a modification of the prescribed stimulus on that specific day. And by the very nature of that word, that's why they're called a modification or a substitution, and they're not called an exact 100% replica, because they are not an exact 100% replica. But a lot of things fall into this as well. Our ring rows precisely the same, absolutely unequivocally equal in every way, shape, and form to doing pull-ups? No. But are they a wonderful, fantastic substitute that will do the trick? Absolutely. And so the same thing could be said with this. And a key part of your phraseology of the question, I don't know if I just made up that word, phraseology, or phrasing is just what I should have said. A key point of the phrasing of your question, Levi, is that you said you're always substituting the bike or the rower in place of running because of joint pain. Well, there, my friend, the answer lies right there. If you're asking me in your specific case that you said running causes you joint pain, and that's why you choose to row or bike every time that running comes up, I believe you are 100% making the right decision. Absolutely, I don't have a doubt in my mind. Now, a different but similar question could be if you just left out that one little part. Maybe there's an individual that running doesn't cause them any joint pain in any way, shape, or form, but they just don't like it, or whatever it happens to do. They avoid it because it's a weakness. And that person who has no physical limitations to running always substitutes it out for rowing or biking. Is that person missing out on something? Absolutely, 100% yes. But that's not you, based upon your question. Running causes you pain. So whatever benefits we're hoping to get out of that running could very well be negated by the fact that running for you, based upon whatever has happened to your body in the past, seems to be a potentially injurious activity. So those are two very separate cases. If we go back to the hypothetical head-to-toe healthy individual, that running doesn't cause them any joint pain, and they're just avoiding it to avoid it, and we all know CrossFitters can be guilty of that. Well, yes. I mean, biking, running, and rowing all have tremendous benefit. There's no doubt about that. But of the three, running is the only one where you're out in the real world, true locomotion is required, and you're actually bearing the full brunt of your body weight and sustaining your body weight with your skeletal system for every single solitary step of the way. That doesn't occur seated on the rower. That doesn't occur seated on the bike. So they're not exactly the same, and each one does have its unique benefits. So yes, that's the short answer to that question. For those of you that running causes you no pain in any way, shape, or form, maybe it's just not your most beloved activity, and running is programmed, I highly encourage you to embrace that and do those runs as much as you can. If you fall into the camp like Levi was talking about, where it does not feel good to your joints, rowing and biking are fantastic. And quite frankly, I fall into that category every now and then. I sustained, I've said this before in podcasts, a rather substantial injury many, many years ago in the military. I broke my pelvis, and I've got plates and screws holding my pelvis together. And that's just my little painful buddy for the rest of my life. It is what it is. I've got right hip pelvis pain chronically every single solitary day. Some days are better, some days are worse, but it's always my little buddy. It's always there. And some days after a warm-up and some agility drills and whatnot, my body says, hey, you know what? We don't mind running today. Running's going to be okay. And when my body feels like that, I always take advantage of it because I need to get it in when I can. But every now and then, even after a detailed and intelligent warm-up, my hip and pelvis says, not happening today. We are grouchy and we're going to put up a heck of a fight. And on those days, I listen to my body and I hop on the rower or I hop on the bike and fitness is achieved. So that's my kind of little encapsulation. We've all got those things that we deal with. Okay, so fantastic question, Levi. Second most upvoted question was from Patrick S. And again, I always have to say, not me, a different Patrick S. Where is your question, Patrick? It is about some programming stuff. I believe it's down the bottom. Here it is. Okay. How often do you create new workouts, and how do you determine if they're worth repeating or not? And could you give an example of one that you created and chose not to repeat, and why? Cool question, fun question, and it had me do a bit of research. I kind of poked back into the Linchpin archives to see what might fit into what you're talking about here. So here's some interesting stats. Let's run down. I actually am in the process right now as we speak of creating the next 4-week block of programming for the future. And that 4-week block of programming begins on March 22nd and finishes on April 21st of obviously 2021. And that's 4 weeks. Now for the individual track, we have workouts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, rest day on Thursday, and then a workout on Friday and Saturday, and a rest day on Sunday. For gyms around the world following the Linchpin affiliate program, Thursday is not an off day. Gyms are open on Thursday. Most of them only close on Sunday. So for the affiliate track, they have a workout on that Thursday. Okay, that's not obvious on the individual track. And so there's 6 workouts a week that I have to program for the upcoming 4-week block. So there's 24 workouts that will take place, 6 a week. So of that 24 in this upcoming block, I went and I looked based upon your question, how often do I create new ones? How many are, repeats, things of that nature. So here's what I found. Out of the 24 workouts, 13 are original ones that I created specifically for this cycle. So just about half, 13 out of 24 original ones that I created. 11 out of the 24 of this upcoming cycle are repeats, be it either CrossFit Linchpin, originals that I came up with in the past and are now showing their face again, or potentially classic CrossFit benchmarks, or they could be, a repeat is also like a heavy day. Maybe it's a 7x1 deadlift. We've done that before. That's a repeat. So if an exact heavy day, exact rep scheme comes up, that also falls into repeats. So once again, 24 workouts in the upcoming 4-week block. 13 are original. 11 are repeats in one way, shape, or form. Let's see. Now, the question becomes, your next question is, how do you determine if they're worth repeating or not? In general, based upon my individual experience and then our collective experience as the Linchpin community, after the fact, after we go through the workout, and ensuring that the stimulus that I wanted to be achieved was indeed actually achieved. And the good news is, after 16 years of me programming workouts, that's overwhelmingly so how it occurs. it's luckily a struggle these days to find one that didn't go that way. So usually they delivered the goods exactly how I wanted them to deliver the goods. Now, whether or not they get repeated again, it depends on several factors that are just kind of programming 101. So for example, a workout may or may not make an appearance again, and that doesn't mean that it's a quote-unquote good workout or a bad workout, or one that I decided to keep or one that I decided to throw in the trash. Whether a particular workout makes an appearance again is largely determined by when I'm trying to crystallize that one particular day's training and what is needed on that day, for time domain, for above or below parallel, for loading, for rep scheme, for should it be a power lift or an Olympic lift, should it be all body weight, like, whatever I decide is needed on that day, that by its very nature eliminates a lot of workout choices. And I may have a very precise idea and stimulus in my head that if I look back, I might see something that we did in the past that fits beautifully in there. And since I'm a crazy psychopath with the programming, I want it to fit beautifully. If it just fits kind of well, that's not okay, that's not acceptable. So something might not get repeated just because it isn't, in my mind, a beautiful, perfect fit. It's close, but it's not quite there. So if I can find something that, and also how far in the past we did something makes sense as well. I may not want to repeat something that we just did 10 days ago, right? Because I want to have a bit more time between a repeat, so we get the benefits of the training that you've accumulated and the adaptation, so when that repeat comes up again, it's a decent amount of time and a decent amount of training volume has occurred that you can make some comparisons between one and the other. You repeat a workout every 3 days, you're not going to get that. So the time factor comes into it as well. I just had something else in my head and it went away. What I may also get is, if something fits beautifully, great. And an appropriate amount of time has gone by since we've done it, great. Well, that's a winner, for us putting it in there once again. What may also occur is in figuring out what I need on a particular day and then looking back into the past to see if there is something which is an appropriate workout to repeat once again, even if something doesn't fit beautifully, the walk down memory lane of what we've done I may find something that's relatively close, and that workout gets polished, modified, massaged, re-engineered or whatnot, and now it fits beautifully on that day. But it kind of has the same bones as something we've done before, but it needed some renovations to fit exactly what was needed on that day. So that happens quite frequently as well. Your final one is like, can I name one that I created and chose not to repeat? And most of them fall into that category. If they don't get repeated, it's because they didn't fit perfectly into what I was looking for that day, or they get massaged to make it. I went back to find one that I was like, oh, is this just one that I would never repeat in a million years? And I didn't see one, which is a good sign. And I've got just some historical documents. My Google Docs go back with all the workouts all the way to 2014. So there's hundreds and hundreds. I guess that would literally be probably thousands of workouts. And what I did see is I haven't, looked at that 2014 Google Doc in quite some time. And what I did see in that 2014 Google Doc was some very cool, fun stuff that actually made me think, you know what? I should blow the dust off some of these workouts and bring them back, because there was some stuff I saw that made me smile, and I hope that it will make everybody else smile. So, Patrick, you may have, without even realizing it, given me the opportunity to take a walk even further down memory lane than I normally go, and the entire Linchpin community will thank you for it. So, it should be great. Oh, and related, if you want to hear a workout that I didn't put out to the community, but because you do special dumb stuff with your friends, but I did with my friends. Well, I have an example of a workout like that I put my friends through and wouldn't put the community through because it was just inappropriate. And we talked about that workout on Linchpin Conversations number 138, if you want to check out that episode. And it was entitled, Don't Try This at Home. And again, I'm not sure if I have that posted yet as a podcast. Probably not. I think it's just right now living on our YouTube channel, but it will eventually be in audio format as well. So that was 138, Don't Try This at Home. Okay, let's see. The next most upvoted question was from Mark W, and it was about the Monster Mash. Okay, here we go. I need a little drink of water. Mark, here we go. My question is about the Monster Mash. I've got a group of us that do it every week. Scaling is, of course, needed, he says, because scaling is cool. Amen to that. I'm just curious on your thinking when programming it each week. I've noticed similarities to some weeks' programming. He's meaning the week's worth of regular Linchpin workouts. So I've noticed similarities to some weeks' programming, sometimes, but not always. Do you try to keep it in line with your goals of the regular workout for that week's Linchpin programming, or is it a completely different mindset for them? And it is a 100% completely different mindset for the Monster Mash. And it's just different. And the Monster Mash Linchpin programming is profoundly fun for me to do for its own set of unique reasons. And the Monster Mash is fun for me to program in its own unique way. And that is because, in my mind, they're different audiences, okay? And so the Monster Mash is those people that I created for anyway that are pursuing CrossFit as a sport, the sport of CrossFit, and they would label themselves as, relatively to highly serious competitors. And that's what for the Monster Mash is for. And so for the Monster Mash, I may prescribe, some volume, some loadings and things like that in workouts that the regular general population doesn't have any business to do, and it's not serving their best interest. So it's a different segment of the CrossFit population in my mind. And what we program on Linchpin day in and day out is the ideal strength and conditioning with a focus for long-term health and fitness, happiness, literally over decades. And the other thing that falls into line with that I do have in my head when I create the Monster Mashes is in that one Monster Mash, even though it's traditionally 3 workouts with 5 minutes rest, that's the usual scheme that we have, I want it to have as much variance as possible, even in those 3 different workouts, that ideally well-roundedness will win out. That every now and then I may have one that's certainly slanted to the barbell or slanted to metabolic conditioning, or slanted to gymnastics. That happens every now and then. But in general, over the course of those 3 workouts, beautiful, well-rounded, blended capacity of both body weight, external loading, and engine. That's the goal. And ideally doing that in a way that, for people who are serious about competing, they need to be able to recover quickly and hit another workout. And they ideally, if they're serious about being competitors, should be able to demonstrate the well-rounded capacity that would be required to perform well at a Monday Monster Mash from Linchpin. And while everything in the world cannot be covered and encapsulated and tested in one Monster Mash with 3 workouts, if a competitor wanted to make sure that they were on track and they did the Monster Mash each week that it came out, okay, you may not cover all of your bases on one Monster Mash, but now if you do the second one and the third one in week 3 and the fourth one on week 4, obviously as they accumulate, any potential holes or deficiencies that you have in your game will without question get exposed. And that's valuable for a competitor. So hopefully they get to benefit from their physical fitness. They get to benefit from having a well-rounded test that is programmed by somebody who doesn't care what they like or don't like. So it's as real and honest and authentic of a test and unbiased as possible. And hopefully it happens in a fun way. And so, and in a way that they don't have to be in the gym constantly, right? I mean, a lot of those Monday Monster Mashes with the 5 minutes rest between each, competitors will be done in and out of that in an hour. And so there's benefit to that as well. But yeah, the Monster Mashes are fun. And no, I don't, as a general rule, try to link them in any way, shape, or form to whatever's programmed that week for Linchpin. Now, that's not to say that when I'm creating the Monster Mash and I'm glancing at my Google Doc, there's something that we did in the last week or 2 or 3 that I'm like, that was a stinger. I would like to expose the Monster Mash people to that. That absolutely happens every now and then. Or I see something and I go, yep, like that a lot. You know what? I'm going to tweak it a bit and put it in here. So there is a bit of that sprinkling back and forth for sure. Okay, let's finish up with 3 of our Linchpin shout-outs, because I'm acquiring a heck of a list. And if I don't get through these, we'll have hundreds to go through eventually. So this first one is from Joseph G, and I entitled it Priorities, Perspective, and Fitness. And this is what Joseph says. My boys were out with me today and they were running up and down the driveway. Jackson, the 2-year-old, was running and I think I heard a hard crash while I was in the second round of kettlebell swings. I went to check on him and he was fine. And then I went back to where I was in the workout. I didn't stop the clock, so my time would have been faster. I was hoping to get a good time to beat for next time, but oh well, life happens. So these are obviously screenshots that I take from comments that are posted in the Linchpin Private Track Facebook group. And that one, it just struck a chord with me because I really appreciate people that everyone's in a different season of their life, right? And we've got people in the Linchpin community in their 20s and 30s and even some in their 40s that their world revolves around putting up the fastest time and the biggest load on a lift possible, period, end of story. And then we've got people in the community doing the exact same workout, but they're in a different season of their life, and their priority is, okay, I started out hoping that I was going to put up this killer time today, and then I heard my kid sound like he got into something he shouldn't have, potentially got hurt. That now superseded whatever level of priority my workout had. Went over, checked on the young man, everything was good to go, came back, who knows how long that took, 30 to 60 seconds, so now your quote-unquote great time that you're hoping for is kind of out the window. And having the presence of mind and the wisdom or the insight to realize that season of your life, making sure that your child is far more important than what the time on the clock says, because you're just working out to spend a good, happy, healthy, long life running around with those kids, and that fitness will still be achieved even though you had to go check on a little guy. That's cool. So I really liked that a lot. Okay, this next one I entitled Making It Happen. It's from Angie S. Before COVID-19, I rarely worked out at home. I preferred coaching and being around other people when I worked out. Due to the pandemic and some personal issues this past year, I've started to really enjoy my home workouts where I can be in my own headspace. My basement flooded this week, which is where my workouts take place. In the past, I would have considered not working out until everything in the basement was put back together. Excuses. But she did not do that. Tonight, she figured out how to make it work, and fitness was achieved. Thanks Linchpin for always finding a way to meet us where we are, no matter what the situation. Absolutely love that as well, because life throws curveballs at you and nobody cares, right? I mean, obviously we care, but point being, if you want to find a warm, comfortable excuse as to why you can't work out because things didn't go perfectly, you can probably find a warm, comfortable excuse almost every day. Or You can choose the harder path, the more disciplined, the tougher path, and even though something didn't go your way, figure out how to solve the problem and make it happen. And that's what she did. I thought that was fantastic. Okay, we've got 2 more. Manuelg. Normally I don't post much on here, but I love our community. And I would just like to say thank you to Linchpin and the programming. I was diagnosed with COVID-19 2 weeks ago, and this last week took a scary turn for me. My asthma turned my lungs to COVID pneumonia, and therefore I was admitted to the hospital on Monday night and have been here ever since. Luckily, the nurses said that my active lifestyle and my lung capacity has helped me to heal faster with the meds they gave me. I've been doing lots of breathing, lung exercises, and each time it feels like a workout. But now I know why I work out, because working out has prepared him for what exactly he's going through right now. If all continues well, I'm hoping to leave for home today and finish my recovery. I'm taking it slow, but cannot wait to get back to the routine of Linchpin, as without it, I know I would not have been as strong as I am now. Thanks for all the motivational posts and the programming. So how cool is that? I mean, that is 100%. You talk about unknown and unknowable. And people in the past used to be like, CrossFit always says they're training for the unknown, the unknowable. What does that really mean? It could mean anything from your tire blows out in the middle of a muddy road and you've got to change it, to having to work for 3 hours in your yard after a windstorm, to a global pandemic where suddenly few things are going to be more advantageous to you than being in really excellent shape. So it's very cool to hear that. Okay, and final one from Jared P. Cindy with pull-ups is what I entitled this one. Okay, he said to get around to Cindy a little late, life happens, but today is the first time I felt confident enough in my pull-ups to try Cindy as prescribed in the 5 years I've been doing CrossFit. I did 14 rounds of Cindy, each with 5 unbroken kipping pull-ups, and I was stoked. To my dismay, the push-ups left me pretty early, as they always do, right? Push-ups are always so hard. But I got through 15 rounds and 16 reps of Cindy. Can't say enough positive things about the program and the community. So fantastic. So that was from Jared. So congratulations. I mean, it's been doing CrossFit for 5 years, 5-ish years, and now for the first time, it's got those pull-ups to do Cindy prescribed, and putting up over 15 rounds is a 100% legit score. So that closes us out for the day. It's of course a rest day for most of us. I hope everyone out there is enjoying their rest day. And thanks for being awesome, Linchpin. I'll see you next week.